Storm Arwen was the worst in over 15 years in terms of the disruption and damage caused. Those most badly hit have been in northern England and in Scotland, some of whom have now been without power for over a week. This has made life incredibly difficult and stressful for many residents, and I want to assure them that help is there. On Wednesday, I visited County Durham, and on Friday, I visited Aberdeenshire to see firsthand some of the devastation caused by Storm Arwen, and yesterday the Secretary of State was also in the northeast of England. I'd like to thank, Mr. Speaker, the engineers, the emergency workers and our armed forces who are on the ground for their incredibly hard work and perseverance in challenging conditions. Mr. Speaker, we have removed the compensation limit to allow customers affected to claim up to £140 per day if they are without power. And I'm glad to say, Mr. Speaker, that 99.8% of those affected by the storm have had their power supply restored so far. But, Mr. Speaker, this is not good enough. It is completely unacceptable that around 1,600 were still in this position as of this morning, but the situation is improving each hour. The remaining areas affected are in the northeast of England, predominantly the Wear Valley surrounding Eastgate, where I was, Mr. Speaker, on Wednesday. I have been assured by the network operators that all efforts are focused on having power restored to those households in the next day.
.5% of them are back on power, but there are still a few thousand who don't have power supply. And as I've said, I think that's an unacceptable situation, but we're doing all we can, particularly the distribution network operators, to make sure that people are back on the grid. I think a number of reasons. I mean, one of the things is that, and as I've looked around, I've spent all morning in the area, there are very challenging conditions. So there's lots of ice, there's lots of sleet, there's lots of snow, and it's very difficult for engineers to get vital infrastructure up and ready when the weather conditions are bad. So that's one factor. The other factor I've seen is that some of the communications haven't been brilliant. It's very difficult for people in the centre or hubs like this to know what's going on in the ground, but I think that's improving as well. And I think locals, volunteers are doing a fantastic job. We've got the army out as well, and they're all pulling together very effectively. But there's still, as I say, a few hundred actually, people who are still off power, and I think that's really unacceptable. We've got to try and make sure that people get back on the power supply as quickly as possible.